Let's get ready for exam 2 and let's start the review. Question 1. The second side of a triangular deck is 6 feet longer than the shortest side, and the third side is 6 feet shorter than twice the length of the shortest side. The perimeter of the deck is 48 feet. What are the lengths of the three sides? Well, let's draw a picture for this problem. We know it's a triangle, and we should label some sides. I know the shortest side, we don't know what that is, so we'll give that a name. I'll call that X. Now, the second side of this triangle is 6 feet longer than the shortest side. So let's call that X plus 6, because that's 6 feet longer than X, the shortest side. So we'll label this as the shortest side, and this will be the second shortest side. And the longest side, according to the directions, is 6 feet shorter than twice the length of the shortest side. 6 feet shorter means we have to subtract, and we have to subtract from twice the length of the shortest side. So twice the shortest side would be 2x. Now we have the shortest side is x. The second side is x plus 6, and the longest side is 2x minus 6. What we need to use now is the perimeter. The perimeter is 48 feet, which is the entire distance around the triangle. I can now say that 48 is equal to x plus 6 plus 2x minus 6. And this is by adding the distance around this triangle. We'll collect like terms. We have x plus 2x. All together makes 4x. And 6 minus 6, that cancels out. That just gives us a 0. Now we could divide both sides by 4 to solve for x. And x is equal to 12. Now this is not our solution. We have to give the lengths of all three sides. So let's say first, second, and third. I know the first side is x. That's going to be 12. The second side is x plus 6. So that means we have to add 12 plus 6 together because the second side is x plus 6. So that's going to give us 18. So the second side has a length of 18 feet. The first side has a length of 12 feet. And for the third side, it's 2x minus 6. So we'll substitute a 12 for the x again. And that gives us 24 minus 6, or 18 feet. So this is our solution. The first side is 12 feet, the second side is 18 feet, and the last side is 18 feet. For question 2, Margaret drove to a business appointment at 3 miles per hour. Her average speed on the return trip was 20 miles per hour. The return trip took 1/2 hour longer because of heavy traffic. How far did she travel to the appointment? What's really nice is they gave us a table. That's incredible. They gave us a table. So recall the formula for the distance. The distance is equal to rate times time. And so I could calculate the distance here of 30 times x, or 30x. And for the afternoon, it's going to be 20 times x plus 1/2. Now we know the trip is going to be the same to and from the trip, which means going there is the same distance as coming back home. So I'm going to put 30x is equal to 20 times x plus 1/2. So let's distribute that 20. 20 times x is 20x. 20 times 1/2, that's 10. And I could solve for x. Let's subtract the 20x to both sides. I have 10x is equal to 10. And that's pretty nice. That means x is equal to 1. But 1 what? What does x represent? It represents the time. How far did she travel to the appointment? Well, this is 1 hour. Okay, x represents 1 hour. we want to figure out how far is the distance to the appointment. We need to plug this 1 back into the distance formula. So we're going to put the distance is equal to 30x, but x is equal to 1, so we traveled 30 miles. The distance to the appointment is 30 miles. Let's try question 3. How many quarts of pure antifreeze must be added to 8 quarts of 30% antifreeze solution to obtain 40% antifreeze solution? Let's start by making a table. Now I'm going to look at the different strengths of the solution. We have a pure antifreeze solution, so that's 100% strength. We have a 30% solution, and we also want to end up with a 40% solution. Now let's figure out how many quarts we need to add to this solution. We don't know how much quarts of pure antifreeze, so let's call that X quarts of antifreeze. And for the 30%, I need 8 quarts, so let's put 8 quarts here. Now the total must be X plus 8 because we're adding X quarts with 8 quarts, so we have a total of X plus 8 quarts of the 40% solution. Now for the next part of the question, we want to figure out how much pure antifreeze we actually have. In the first solution, it's 100%, so that means we have X pure amount. For the next row, we're going to multiply 30% times 8 as a decimal, so that's 0.30 times 8. And for the last one, it's going to be 0.40, that's 40% as a decimal, times x plus 8. Now what we have to understand is this is what we mixed, and it has to be equal to what we have left over. So this x plus 0.30 times 8 must be equal to the mixture that we have. The two parts that we mix together must be total to what we have after. Now, let's figure out how to do this. Let's simplify some of the terms. We have x plus 0.30 times 8 is 2.4, and that's equal to, we'll have to distribute the 0.40 times x. That's 0.4x plus 3.2. Now let's solve for x. Let's subtract 0.4x to both sides. This gives me 0.6x plus 2.4, and that's equal to 3.2. We can subtract 2.4 to both sides now. 0.6x is equal to 0.8. Now I can divide both sides by 0.6, and this gives me x is equal to 1.33, and so that's our solution. We have to add 1.33 quarts of pure antifreeze to get a 40% mixture. So that's our solution, 1.33 quarts of pure antifreeze. Question 4. In planning her retirement, Liza deposits some money at 1.5% interest with twice as much deposited at 5% interest. Find the amount deposited at each rate if the total annual interest income is $1,495. For this question, I like to use a table. Let's look at the different interest rates that we actually have. We have a 1.5% and we have a 5% interest rate. What about the amount of money we deposited at 1.5%? We don't know. It says some money. Let's call it X amount of money. And twice as much as that in the second account. That means 2x. What is the income generated from there? Well, the income that's generated will be 0.015 times x, because we're multiplying 1.5% times x but remember, convert 1.5% to a decimal. Same thing for 5%. We're going to convert that to a decimal and multiply that by 2x. We know the total interest income has to be $1,495. That means these two have to add up to $1,495. Let's create an equation. We could come up with an equation. We can say that 0.015x plus 0.1x is equal to 1495. Now, what did I do? I took this amount and put it right here and multiply this out. 0.05 times 2x is 0.1x. And that should add up to the total income of $14.95. This means we can collect like terms. That's 0.115x equals $14.95. I could divide both sides by 0.115. X is equivalent to 13,000. This represents $13,000. I have to invest $13,000 at 1.5% interest. But at the 5% interest, we have to do double that. That means we have to invest $26,000 at 5% interest. That's our two solutions. $13,000 at 1.5% interest and $26,000 at 5% interest. In question 5, subtract and simplify. For the first expression, 7 plus 7i, I can just remove the parentheses. Those are not useful for the problem. But for the second part, we always have to remember to distribute. This becomes plus 2 plus I. Then I can collect like terms. 7 plus 2, that's 9. And 7i plus I, that's 8i. That's all we have to do for the problem. Just collect like terms, and that's it. 9 plus 8i is our solution. For question 6, I have to divide complex numbers. In order to do that, we need to multiply the top and the bottom by the conjugate of the denominator. You see 7 plus 6i on the bottom? That means the conjugate is 7 minus 6i. That's what we need to use. 7 minus 6i. Let's multiply that to the top and to the bottom. That means we need to FOIL. 3 times 7, that's 21. 3 times negative 6i is negative 18i. 4i times 7 is 28i. 4i times negative 6 is negative 24i squared. That's only the top. For the bottom, these are conjugates. That means I can use the shortcut, which simply means multiply the first term with the first term and the last term with the last term. That gives me 49, and 6i times negative 6i is negative 36i squared. Don't forget, I squared is equal to negative 1. That's something we cannot forget, and we can use that to simplify this. This simplifies the top as 21 minus, well, we have 18i plus 28i. That's actually a plus 10i on the top, not a minus, a plus 10i. Negative 24i squared, that is the same as negative 24 times negative 1, again from this reference here. Negative 1 times negative 24 is a plus 24. For the denominator, we have 49 and negative 36i squared. Again, I squared is negative 1, so this simplifies to plus 36. Let's collect like terms again. For the top, I can add 21 and 24. That's 45 plus 10i on the top. And on the bottom, we have 49 plus 36, which simplifies to 85. But we're not quite done yet. We have to simplify this in a plus bi form. So let's take 45 and put it over 85, and we'll put 10 over 85 as well. and then simplify. 45 over 85 is the same as 9/17, and 10 over 85 simplifies to 2/17, and we'll have to include the I. So this is our solution, 9/17 plus 2/17 I. In question 7, let's find the product of this complex number, 7 minus 4i quantity squared. This is the same as 7 minus 4i times another 7 minus 4i. That means we have to FOIL. Don't make the mistake of distributing that 2. You don't do that. You have to FOIL in this problem. 7 times 7, that's 49. 7 times negative 4i is negative 28i. Negative 4i times 7 is negative 28i again. And negative 4i times negative 4i is positive 16i squared. Recall again, I squared is equal to negative 1. That means 16i squared is actually negative 16. And so we can simplify some more. 49, negative 28i, and negative 28i is negative 56i. Let's collect like terms. 49 minus 16, that's 33. And we'll bring down the 56i. So our solution is 33 minus 56i. For question 8, this is actually an easy question. You just have to remember I to the 0 is equal to 1. I to the 1 is equal to I squared is equal to negative 1. I cubed is equal to negative I. So there's only 4 possibilities for this question. We'll take that exponent of 10 and we'll have to divide that by 4 because there's a repeating pattern. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 possible solutions. 4 goes into 10 twice, that's 8. We have a remainder of 2. We're going to use the remainder as our new exponent. I to the 10th is equal to I squared, and we all know I squared is equal to negative 1. So that's our solution for question 8. We just have to use the remainder as our new exponent, and we have only 4 options for this problem. For question 9, it says solve by factoring, so that means we need to set it equal to 0. I'm going to subtract the 10 to both sides first. 3a squared minus 13a minus 10 is equal to 0. Now let's try to use the AC method first if possible. We'll multiply the 3 times the negative 10, that's negative 30, and I'll bring down the negative 13 on the bottom. What two numbers multiplies to get negative 30 but add up to negative 13? Well, that's going to be 15 and 2. It has to be negative 15 in order to add up to negative 13. So let's factor this using the AC method. So you can either split the middle here or do the bottoms up technique for the problem. So let's try it out. I'm going to split the middle in this case. So this is 3a squared minus 15a plus 2a minus 10 equals 0. Now we could do factor by grouping. For the first pair we have a 3a in common, that leaves a minus 5 left over. And for the second one we have a 2 in common, that leaves an a minus 5 left over again. This means we can factor out the a minus 5 to the front. A minus 5 times 3a plus 2 is left over, and that should be equal to 0. Since these two numbers multiply to give us a 0, that means a minus 5 is equal to 0, or 3a plus 2 is equal to 0. And so we have two possible solutions, a equals 5, or a equals negative 2/3 if you solve for a. So there's two answers for this problem. Solve the equation by the square root property. That means we can take the square root of both sides. Don't forget the plus or minus. So z plus 2 is equal to plus or minus the square root of negative 81. But we know the square root of negatives can be changed into I root the square root of 81 because there's a negative inside. We could pull out the I, but we know the square root of 81 is also 9. So this is plus or minus 9i. And we have z plus 2 on the left. All we have to do now is subtract 2 to both sides. And this completes the problem. Z is equal to negative 2 plus or minus 9i. Stop here. We're done.